Namaste, Venkat. Can we start, Prakash?
Sindhuji. Namaste everyone. Welcome to the Satsang House. The ongoing sessions are on Bhagavad Gita from an Advaita perspective offered by Binduji. We are on chapter 3, room number 16. The replays of all the previous rooms are available in Clubhouse. The other options are to go to YouTube channel, Advaita Retold. The link is shared. There is also a repository in Apple Podcast and Spotify. There's also a book published by Artemisia titled Imaginary Door, which is based on Binduji's insights into Advaita. I will be closing the chat and hand raising when Binduji is conducting the class. And we'll have about half an hour after that for Q&A, at which time the channels will be open. As always, thank you, Binduji. Over to you.
Thank you, Prakash. And Namaste and Hari Om to all of you. Let me do my invocation. Namo Brahmadibhyo Brahma Vidya Sampradaya Kartrubhyo Vamsharushibhyo Mahadbhyo Namo Gurubhyaha Ch03-17 Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavad Padam Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutrabhashikritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punaha Ishvaro Guru Ratmiti Murti Veda Vivagine Vyomavat Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. The Gita Dhyana Shlokam. Yam Brahma Varunendra Rudra Marutaha Stunvandi Divya Istavai Vedai Sangapatakamo Panishadai Gayandi Yam Samagaha Dhyanavastita Tadgatena Manasa Pashyandi Yam Yogino Yasyandam na vidussura suragana Devaya tasmai namaha Devaya tasmai namaha Devaya tasmai namaha. Om Etve Datyasuyando Nanu Tishtandi Me Matam Sarvajnana Vimodangshan Vidhi Ashtachetasaha. This is the what we discussed in the last class toward the end. Those who reject Krishna's teaching are completely deluded, lacking discrimination and spiritual awareness. So, Shankaracharya, as an introduction to the next verse, is making a question. After stating that some people reject the teaching, Shankaracharya now raises a natural doubt. Why do people act against Lord's instruction and against their own dharma? His commentary is that Tasmat punak karanat tvadiyam madam na anutishtanti. But for what reason do they not follow your teaching? If the Lord has given the correct teaching, why do some people ignore it or refuse to practice it? This question introduces a deeper psychological problem behind disobedience. It is not at the face value as what we think the question is. There is a deeper psychological problem for those individuals, why they are ignoring it or refusing to practice it. Paradharma and anutishtanti. Not only that they are refusing and refuse to practice it, they are also practicing other people's dharma, paradharma. Shankaracharya refers to paradharma as the duties that do not belong to one's own nature or role. Abandoning one's own rightful duty and imitating others' path. Such imitations creates confusion and instability among the individuals. Not only that, they also neglect one's own dharma. Swadharmancha na anuvartande. And why they do not follow their own dharma? The same concern. The question is, why does a person abandon the path that is naturally appropriate to him? Something powerful must be pushing people away from their own proper conduct. Tvat pratikulaha. Why do they act contrary to Krishna, O you? Here the problem becomes even more serious. People not only ignore dharma, but act against the instruction by Krishna. Thus their conduct becomes spiritually destructive. It is there that they do not fear about this. Why do they not fear about it? Katanna bibhisyati. Katanna bibhyati. Tvat asanati kramadoshat. Why do they not fear the fault of transgressing your command? Shankaracharya says that if disobeying Lord's instruction produces spiritual harm, even then, why are people not afraid to violate it? This question highlights the puzzling power of desire, impulse, and psychological compulsion. But as the philosophical problem, the question becomes now, why do human beings knowingly act against what is right? What is the problem? This problem cannot be explained by merely as avidya or ignorance. It suggests the presence of a powerful inner force. I am reminded of Duryodhana's statement in Mahabharata. When Duryodhana was asked, why are you doing this when you know it is adharma? So Duryodhana says that Kenapi Devena Pratishtita. As if there is a Deva or a power which is residing in my heart, which is forcing me to do this. So that is what is suggested here, presence of powerful inner force. Therefore, then transition to the next teaching, this question is where Krishna answers, even the wise act according to their own nature. All beings follow their nature. What will a restraint accomplish? The teaching will show that actions are strongly influenced by the Prakriti and the Gunas. Mere intellectual understanding, please underline that. The intellectual understanding cannot always restrain impulses. You need sadhana for it. So, if the Lord's teaching is correct, why do people disobey and abandon their own dharma? The answer will come in the next verse. Sadrisham cheshtate swasya prakritehe jnanavan api prakritim yanti bhutani nigraha kim karishyati. Verse number 33. Jnanavan api swasya prakritehe sadrisham cheshtate. This is a very important verse which should be understood by all of us to know the intricate nature in which a jnani and all the other people function in the empirical or phenomenal world. So, jnanavan api swasya prakritehe sadrisham cheshtate means even the wise one acts conformity with his own prakriti. The second line is Bhutani Prakritim Yanti. That is one part of it. There is a second part to it. Nigraha Kim Karishyati. So Bhutani Prakritim Yanti. All beings follow their Prakriti. Nigraha Kim Karishyati. What will a restraint accomplish? Krishna himself is asking this question. The verse can be considered as two units. One is that Jnanavan api is a particular case, and Bhutani, when it is saying, it is talking about the universal rule. And they conclude with a rhetorical question. Kim karishyati? What can restraint do? It is not that what will restraint accomplish. It is a rhetorical question. So the word sadrisham is similar or conforming to, in accordance with. So in conformity with or acts in conformity. Sadrisham cheshtate, acts in conformity. Shankaracharya says anurupam, in accordance with. A structural conformity. The action is shaped by and corresponds precisely to Prakriti. It is here we should understand the word Prakriti here is not from the Purusha in Prakriti. But here Prakriti should be read as Swabhava. So Shankaracharya reads Sadrisham as indicating to inevitability of the correspondence. Action does not merely tend to conform to Swabhava, Prakriti, but conforms it to the necessity of a natural law. Cheshtate means acts, conducts himself or behaves. So the Jnanavan does not choose to act in conformity with his Prakriti through deliberation, but does so spontaneously as a natural expression of what he is. This is very important. Jnanavan api, including the one who is knowledgeable or knower or jnani. He does not choose to act, but spontaneously as a natural expression of what he is. Pravartate means proceeds, operates. This is a timeless, invariable truth about how even Jnanavan acts. There are a lot of questions which come up in the mind of ordinary people when they talk about jnanis or the people who are of knowledge. If he is a person of this knowledge, why is he showing anger? Why is he not treating everybody the same way? Or if he has a knowledge that everything is Brahman or Sarvam Khalidam Brahma, then why is he in a mode of, teaching or seeing the other people as an ignorant person? All those things, all these type are questions which are coming from the people who have not understood this verse of Bhagavad Gita. Krishna himself says that Jnanavan api cheshtate sadrisham. Swasya, as of one's own nature or his own prakritehe, or according to his own prakriti, swabhava. It is his own specific prakriti to which his actions conform. Shankaracharya reads swasya as an indicating swabhava, one's own inherent nature accumulated through beginningless karma and samskara. It is not under his control. That is why the word prakritehe, the next word, nature, inherent nature or characteristic disposition, accumulated tendencies, means of prakriti means according to his own nature. Shankaracharya carefully distinguishes Prakriti here from the cosmic Maya Prakriti. It is not the Maya Prakriti which is the Prakriti referred in this verse. Here Prakriti means Swabhava as one's own specific, individual, accumulated nature. The Swabhava is the Karmaja Samskara Rashi, accumulated mass of samskaras produced by past actions, which shapes the spontaneous tendencies and predispositions and characteristics responses of the individual, whether he is an ordinary person or a jnani. There is no change in it. Therefore, Shankaracharya notes that even the jnani's body-mind complex operates according to his Swabhava. The jnana transforms the interrelationship to the body-mind complex, thereby to the action, by dissolving the kartrutva abhimana, but not the functioning of body-mind complex. But does not immediately or necessarily alter the outward pattern of conduct shaped by the prarabdha karma. The body will continue to do. That is why we have jnanis in all walks of life. He can be a king, he can be a mendicant, he can be a meat seller, he or she can be a prostitute, she or he can be a mendicant, or sannyasi, or a grihastha, anything he can be. That has nothing to do with this jnana. The jnanavan, that is an internal realization that I am not the body-mind complex. I am that self, which is akarta and abhokta, non-doer and non-enjoyer. And in the presence of me, the body seems to be acting, thereby appearing to be the doer and the enjoyer. In fact, the doer and enjoyer is the mind and the body in complex. That the sakshi or the knowledge or the self inner is mere presence there. So how it is a jnanavan? One who possessed of knowledge, the wise one, or a jnani. Here the jnanavan as a atma jnani, one who knows that atma is akarta and nirguna. The use of jnanavan rather than ajnanin in the philosophical charged element in the first half is not an ordinary person, but even the wise one, even the jnani who acts in conformity with his prakriti, his swabhava. Therefore, Shankaracharya is reading that the jnanavan's body-mind complex continues to operate according to its swabhava under the prarabdha karma. Even after the atma jnana, the Jivan Mukta continues to act without kartrutva abhimana. Please listen to carefully. The Jnanavan's body-mind complex continues to operate according to its swabhava, which is under the prarabdha karma. Even after attaining the Atma Jnana, the Jivan Mukta continues to act, but has no kartrutva abhimana. So Shankaracharya connects this to the Advaitic doctrine of Jivan Mukti. Jivan Mukti means liberated while living, in which the prarabdha karma continues to produce its effects until exhausted, even though the Atma Jnana has dissolved in the future karma bandha. The future karma actions and their reactions or their phalas are not accrued by a Jivan Mukta. But what has started as a prarabdha, prakarshena arabdha, That continues. Like the example is when a fan is switched off, the electricity has stopped, the connection between the power, the source of energy, and the body of the fan has stopped, but the fan rotates continuously till it is naturally coming to a stop. The other example in the Shastra or in the scriptures is that like the arrow left a bow, which has left the bow from that. Once having left, it will stop only when the target is hit or its velocity drops down to zero. These two things only that, but it will continue to move. Same way, once the Atmajnana has taken place or once that avidya nasha takes place and the individual realizes that he is no more the body-mind complex, he is the Atma, Akarta Abhokta. He is not a doer nor an enjoyer. For such a person, his body will continue to operate. He will be seeing the body operating. But he has nothing to do with his body, mind and intellect. He will be seeing his body, mind, intellect as a dream. But it will continue to function according to the prarabdha karma. But from his point of view, he has no prarabdha. Prarabdha is only for the body-mind complex, where the residual tendencies and vasanas are residing. So that will continue until it becomes nullified, or the body perishes to perform actions further. That is when all the actions are deemed to have finished. But here the word Jnanavan Api is a very vital statement by Krishna. Even the Jnanavan or even the wise one is a most philosophically charged word in this verse, indicating the Atyanta Samanyata, that is absolute universality. The principle applies without exception even to the most exalted jnani and the other people. Shankaracharya note the api serves a double pedagogical purpose. One, it prevents the ajnanin from concluding that the jnanavan somehow escapes Prakriti's influence through mere jnana. Even the jnanin's body, mind acts according to the svabhava. So, the ajnani should not be under the wrong impression that by attaining jnana, he can escape from the Prakriti's influence. Now, the second aspect is, it prevents the misunderstanding that the jnanavan's conformity to svabhava indicates a failure of his jnana. No, even jnana does not immediately alter the svabhava at the level of deha vritti. So both has to be understood from the pedagogical purpose. The ajnani should not think that by acquiring jnana he can escape from the prakriti. He will become different person by acquiring knowledge. But as long as he remains ajnani, that knowledge what is acquired by a jnani is still a imaginary knowledge in the eyes or in the knowledge of the jnani. Therefore, he thinks that the jnana can make changes in the jnani's behavior. But even the jnani's body, mind, intellect acts according to the swabhava. Then what is the jnana doing? Jnana brings that he is not the body, mind, intellect. The body, mind, intellect is for the others who are seeing him as the body, mind, intellect. From his point of view, he is not the body, mind and intellect. It is just like the stone or the tree or the animal or anything in this world. But he sees them all as expression of same Satchidananda, Chaitanya. And he doesn't say that they are different from him. Yatrana anyat pasyati anyat shrunoti anyat vijanati. He doesn't see that. So for him, a jnani and ajnani as two separate doesn't exist. He sees them all as his own reflections. His own reflection doesn't bring a behavior in the body, mind, intellect where the jnana is not there. The jnana is not in the body, mind and intellect. It is realizing his own nature. So the jnana is operating at a level, or jnana is his being, or jnana is his swarupa. But the body, mind, intellect, like anything else in the phenomenal world, will continue to be part of the expression of the waking. He has no identity to that body. He identifies with everything. For him, everything is now only that expression of the same Brahman, Atma. So that Ajnani thinking that jnana can bring and change in the body, mind, intellect performance is something which he should not conclude that way. Even the jnani's body, mind, intellect acts according to the swabhava. Second aspect of the pedagogy is that it prevents the misunderstanding that the jnanavan's conformity to swabhava indicates a failure of his jnana. His body, mind, intellect may perform not conforming to the expression expected out of a jnani. So that is why it is said, even jnana does not immediately alter the swabhava at the level of the deha vritti. The body-mind complex will continue to be what it is. The jnana transforms the andakarana or relationship to kartrutva, but not necessarily the prarabdha driven pattern of the deha karma. That is the most important aspect we have to understand. The knowledge which is referred as the jnani's knowledge, jnana. What does it do? It transforms the andakarana's relationship. So the body, mind, intellect is andakarana? Yes. The body, mind, intellect through which that jnana is now functioning doesn't have the ownership to the body, mind, intellect. To say that the deha, the mind, the body is the karta, that is not transferred into the jnani's jnana or the self, inner self. His relationship with the body is that it is an instrument which was designed before the jnana has taken place. So the instrument which has been designed and created before the jnana has taken place cannot be altered with the knowledge, because they are matter in it. They are in matter. They've conformed to matter, Prakriti. So Prakriti driven or Prarabdha driven pattern of the Deha karma will continue. Jnana cannot change it. Jnana can work only against Ajnana. There is no place other than Ajnana where Jnana can function. Jnana cannot bring an change in the body, cannot bring a change in the mind, cannot bring a change in the intellect, cannot bring in the what you call the way senses praguna guneshu vartande, the prakriti, all those things are functioning. The ignorance which is there in the mind, which it was thinking that I am the mind, I am the individual. That ignorance has what is getting removed by the jnana to know that I am not the individual anymore. I am the Atma, Brahman, Sarvabhyapi, Sarvajna, Sarvagata. That omniscient, omnipotent self is what my nature is, not the nature of the mind or the intellect or the body. So Prakriti, which is mentioned here as nature or one's own nature, is the Swabhava. And it is the object for the verb yanti. Yanti means to confirm, to proceed or to follow. So the accumulated Swabhava that governs the individual contact. Prakritim yanti as Swabhavam anusaranti means they follow their own nature. Which? Who follow their own nature? The body, mind, intellect. They conform to their inherent disposition. Because they have been created before the jnana. So they cannot be changed by jnana, because jnana cannot operate on the body, mind, intellect. It can work only the ignorance in the antakarana or the inner instrument. Therefore, they follow after or proceed with conformity is what yanti means. Indicating the universal scope of the principle, not just the jnanavan, but all beings follow the prakriti. Bhutani yanti. So Bhutani is being, all creatures. The subject of the verb yanti. So Bhutani as Sarvani Prani Jatani. All living beings without exception. The shift from Jnanavan singular to Bhutani, all being in plural, is the bringing in the universalizing the principle of the Prakriti, Swabhava. If even the Jnanavan acts according to his Prakriti, then certainly all other beings also do so. This universalization prepares the rhetorical question that follows. Nigraha kim karishyati? It's a rhetorical question. Nigraha means restraint or suppression or forcible force control. Kim, what will this suppression or restraint accomplish? Karishyati means accomplish here. So Nigraha kim karishyati, that it's a rhetorical question Krishna himself is asking. What can the restriction or restrainment do? So in the Bhashya, there are certain aspects which Shankaracharya is touching up. The Jnanavan's body-mind complex, Deha Indriya Manaha, continues to operate according to the accumulated svabhava under prarabdha karma. The jnana has dissolved the kartrutva abhimana, the pride of the doership, but has not immediately destroyed the prarabdha karma, which continues to derive the body-mind's activity until the body-mind ceases to operate. Therefore, the Jivan Mukta thus appears to act like any other being, eating, sleeping, moving. He also feels hunger. He also feels thirst. But does so without kartrutva or bhoktrutva, neither the doership nor enjoyership. The example is of the arrow left from the bow or the fan. What is called the momentum of the prarabdha until they come to rest naturally. Prarabdha karma bhoktavyam. Prarabdha karma must be experienced by even by the jnani. That is why the sickness in the body of the jnani or his status as a king, where he is enjoying all the lavishness of a king, he is not either way getting affected. That is from his internal this thing. But at the body-mind level, outside, the third party will see him either as a king or as a beggar. Doesn't make a difference. Bhutani prakritim yanti. All beings, including the jnanavan, follow their prakriti. Then the forcible nigraha is not only futile but counterproductive. As a sadhana, the jnanavan thinks that he can do forcible nigraha or forcible control of his body, mind, intellect. It will not. The body, mind, intellect is not under his control, because it has been created before the onset of the knowledge. If he tries to do, he will also be a hypocrite who suppresses the action externally while antakarana continues in its habitual operation. Because antakarana and the physical body all will follow the prakriti, svabhava. Therefore, this verse provides a further ground for karma yoga prescription. If one cannot simply force oneself out of one's svabhava, the proper response is to work with one's prakriti, svabhava, through karma yoga, transforming karma to yoga through asaktata and ishwararpana of that non-attachment and offering to the Lord, rather than against it through violent nigraha, forceful seclusion in a cave or a forest or anywhere. That is escaping from the contact, which will come to it in the verse. The third aspect of it. True transformation of prakriti comes not from nigraha but from jnana. Specifically, when the jnana is known as guna karma vibhaga tattva jnana. That is, the jnani genuinely recognizes that guna guneshu vartande and the atman is akarta nirgunaha abhokta. The svabhava of kartrutva abhimana is dissolved in such cases. That is what the jnana does. Not forcibly suppressed but naturally transcendent. This is the Advaitic sadhana. Not a violent self-suppression but a progressive viveka that reveals the hypocrisy or falseness of the svabhava dosha. Then if svabhava is so powerful, that even Jnanavan acts according to it, why should Arjuna be urged to act at all? He cannot simply say that my swabhava is to grieve and refrain from fighting and sit quiet. Nigraha kim karishyati. Why should he that? As per Shankaracharya, it cuts both ways. Just as a violent suppression of pravritti swabhava is futile, so too is the violent suppression of Kshatriya swabhava through the false vairagya. Arjuna's swabhava as a Kshatriya, shaped by the prarabdha karma, is to fight. If he attempts to override this through his what the Lord has called as klaibhya, unmanliness, is itself a form of nigraha. That swabhava will ultimately override it and he will be getting into the act. Thus the verse serves as a loga sangraha argument. Let Arjuna's Kshatriya swabhava find its natural expression in the war, but let the natural expression be transformed from within through asaktada, ishwararpana and adhyatma chetasa. That is by non-attachment and offering to the Lord and mind turned inward toward adhyatma chetasa. That is the karma yoga that transcends both forced suppression and unconscious indulgence. The Bhashya reads like this: Sadrisham anurupam cheshtate cheshtam karoti. One acts in the manner consistent with and appropriate to one's own nature. So Sadrisham anurupam is the word used by Shankaracharya, confirming to one's nature. Cheshtate acts or behaves according to that. Thus the behavior arises not arbitrarily but according to the internal disposition. Whose nature? Kasya swasya swakhiyayaha prakriti. One's own nature. Shankaracharya clarifies that prakriti here means individual disposition. Each person possesses a specific configuration of tendencies, inclination and psychological structure. This is what determines how they naturally act. Prakriti nama urvakrita dharma dharmadi samskaraha. So what is Prakriti? Prakriti is a set of impressions formed from previously performed actions, meritorious or unmeritorious. Dharma dharma. Therefore, Shankaracharya defines Prakriti in psychological terms. It consists of samskara, which is latent impressions. And what are these latent impressions from? They are produced from the past karmas. Thus, the past karmas create the tendencies and the shape and the present behavior. That is why the jnana happens. Before that, whatever actions have been done, they have to fructify in their result. That is in the form of tendencies, latent impressions, etc. How do they manifest in the present life? Vartamana janmadau abhivyaktaha. They become manifest at the beginning of the present life itself. These latent impressions emerge as the nature of the present body, mind, intellect complex in the present life, which influences the personality and the inclinations. Thus, one's nature, swabhava, appears from the very beginning of the life. There will be clear indication what is one's tendency and inclination. It will be there from childhood, but it may not be matured. As we mature, accumulate, contact, develop, with requirements, our tendencies will start fructifying. If it is for wealth, enjoyment, everything, that will be the route through which it will be fructifying. If it is for spiritual progress, you will be in the path of spiritual progress. You will be attending to spiritual discourses. You will be meeting more sadhus and good people who are spiritually advanced or who are in the path of spirituality. So even the knowledgeable person or the jnani may still act according to the bodily tendencies due to prarabdha karma. The outward activity will continue, but inward, he is adhyatma chetasa. He is turned towards his own self, inner self. Kim punar murkha, then what about the ignorant people? Even if the wise are influenced by nature at the level of bodily activity, the ignorant who lacks the discrimination are even more strongly driven by the tendencies. Tasmat prakritim yanti anugachanti bhutani praninaha. Therefore, all beings follow their own nature. Behavior arises from inherent tendencies, which beings naturally therefore follow their inherent tendencies or prakriti. This explains why people do not easily abandon their habitual patterns, whether he is a jnani or a ajnani. It is not easy to abandon their habitual patterns. There is a limit up to which external restraint will function. Nigraha, nisheda rupaha, kim karishyati. What can a restraint or a mere prohibition can accomplish? They don't stand anywhere to the mighty tendencies with which the body, mind, intellect has taken birth. So the external suppression alone is ineffective. If the inner tendencies remain unchanged, restraint only temporarily suppresses impulses. The tendencies will reassert themselves. Thus, the transformation must occur from within. Not even Lord's command alone is enough. Mamava anyasyava. Whether it is my command or others' command. This is why some people sometimes understand what is right, yet to fail to follow it. The root cause lies in the latent impressions. So this teaching does not deny discipline. It shows why gradual purification is necessary through viveka and vairagya. And mostly by karma yoga, where it is done with akartrutva, non-doership, and offering it as an offering to the Lord. Then the tendencies are refined. Sattva Shuddhi happens. And then Jnana Nishta is possible for the knowledge to become effective. Thus the transformation occurs over time. Shankaracharya reconcile the two factors as the self is actionless, akarta, yet behavior appears due to prakriti. So the knowledge frees the self from identification from the tendencies, even though the body may continue to act according to its nature. Yadi sarve jantu atmanaha prakriti sadrishyameva cheshtate nacha prakriti shunya kaschit asti tata purushakarasya Vishaya Anupapatte Shastranartha Kya Praptau Idam Uchyate. If everything is determined by nature, what role remains for effort and the scriptural injunctions? That if every being acts only according to nature and no one exists who is devoid of this nature, such a nature, tata purushakarasya vishayanupapatte. Then the scope of human effort, purushakara, becomes impossible. Shastra anartyakya prapto. Even the scriptures would become purposeless. Therefore, idam uchyate. Krishna is now saying that. Indriyasya indriyasyarthe ragadvesho vyavastitau tayorna vasamagacchantau hyasya paripantanau. Indriyasya arthe. That indriyasya arthe. Ragadvesho vyavastitau stha. In the domain of each sense objects, raga and dvesha are firmly launched. Attachment and hatred. Tayoho vasham na agachet. One should not fall under the power of these two. Tayoho means these two. Vasham means under the power of that. Na agachet. One should not fall. Tauhi asya paripantau. Because these two are indeed the adversaries for the one who is into this path. The first part, where the domain of each sense objects are firmly lodged due to raga dvesha, is the pramana, is a diagnosis, metaphysical diagnosis. Tayoho vasham na agachet. One should not fall under the power of these two, is a vidhi or an injunction from the Lord. The hetu or the reason is these two are the adversaries in the path. Indriyasya of each and every sense organ. By repeating indriyasya, each specific sense is considered by one. The eye, the ear, the nose, the tongue, the skin, the genitive organs, etc. are in all those things. The reduplication of indriyasya in Sanskrit is expressing the universality. It means each sense after sense, we have to take that into consideration. Pratyeka indriyasya vishaye, in the domain of each of the individual senses, raga, dvesha are lodged at every point of vishaya indriya contact without exception. Arthe means it is a locative singular word. Locative means with respect to object. Arthe here vishaya is that, or in the domain of the subject, sense object combination. The specific domain of each of the sense proper object. Sound for the ear, forms for the eyes, smell for the nose, taste for the tongue, touch for the skin. These locative establish a precise locus of raga dvesha. At each of them, these raga and dvesha are present. They are not abstract mental states, but specifically located at the point of contact between indriya and indriya vishaya. Raga dvesha arise not from Atman, not from the mind, but from the Indriya Vishaya Samyoga, the conjunction of the sense and the object. The sense organ and the object, when they are in conjunction, that is the spot where the Raga Dvesha arises. Raga Dvesha. Raga means attraction, passion, desire. Dvesha means aversion, repulsion, hatred, etc. These are the two things, attraction and aversion. Shankaracharya reads Raga Dvesha as the two fundamental antakarana vikaras, modifications of the inner organ, that arise from avidya and produce karma bandha, the bondage. Raga towards pleasant objects derives pravritti, engagement. Dvesha toward the unpleasant objects derives nivritti, avoidance. Not the pravritti and nivritti of, which was explained in the beginning of the class. Together they constitute complete motivational structure of empirical existence, samsarik jivan. So Shankaracharya connects Raga Dvesha to the previous verse. It is the Raga Dvesha that constitute the specific Swabhava, referred to the Prakritim Yanti, that Nigraha cannot overcome, but Jnana can dissolve it over Karma Yoga. Vyavastitau means stationed, positioned, firmly lodged, established, etc. Raga Dvesha are lodged in the domain of the conscience and the object. Raga Dveshas are not accidental or occasional, but structurally embedded in the sense and the object domain. Shankaracharya reads that Vyavastitau by indicating Niyati. The natural law or dharma of Prakriti, the natural dharma of Vasana in that or Swabhava. Just as a fire is hot by Swabhava, Raga Dvesha are lodged in the Indriya Vishaya Samyoga by Niyati of Avidya Prakriti. The word also implies that they are recognizable, not hidden, but detectable by the Viveki, who looks carefully at each sense-object contact time. Tayoho means of these two, but Vasham, na Vasham agached. So, na Vasham agached means should not fall under their control. The jiva who comes under the Vasham of Raga Dvesha has lost his swatantriya, the freedom or autonomy, and is driven by the compulsion like a leaf in the wind or a boat unanchored. Shankaracharya reads Vasham agachet, adinadam prapniyat, would attain subjugation, would fall into dependence on them. Tauhi asya paripantinau. Raga Dvesha are like the pirates, highway pirates, who lie in ambush on the road of dharma and moksha, waylaying the traveler before he can reach his destination. Therefore, Shankaracharya reads Paripantinau as indicating that Raga Dvesha are not merely inconveniences, but active adversaries. They do not passively hinder, but aggressively obstruct. Therefore, he connects this to the earlier analysis that Raga Dvesha derive Asakti, and Asakti produces Karma Bandha, and Karma Bandha perpetuates Samsara. So the entire chain of bondage has Raga Dvesha at its root. To fall under their vasha, to fall under their clutch, is to be captured by the, is like to be captured by the highway bandits or pirates, and lose all the wealth of Viveka, Vairagya and Mumukshutva that sadhana has accumulated. Even the one sadhana which has sadhana chatushtaya is fully matured, a lack of attention and fall for raga dvesha. It can be shastra vasana, it can be, any type of eshna, putreshna, vitteshna, lokeshna. So that will make you lose all the wealth of viveka, vairagya and etc. So nigraha kim karishyati, what can a restraint do from the previous verse, is talking about the raga and dvesha. Therefore the prescription is navasam agachet, is an injunction, but it prescribes the discriminative non-subjugation rather than violent suppression. Therefore, viveka purva nivritti, discriminative disengagement informed by knowledge. Otherwise, nigraha is futile. Indriyasya arthe vyavastitau is precise phenomenological analysis how raga dvesha operate. They are not located in Atman, which is nirguna and nishkriya, nor even in the manas or buddhi abstractly. They are specifically located at the point of indriya vishaya samyoga, the junction between the sense and sense object. This phenomenological precision is important for the Advaitic sadhana. The practitioner who knows where the raga dvesha are lodged can apply viveka precisely at that point, recognizing the arising of raga dvesha, and can be detected, and each sense contact and choosing not to follow their vasha or their temptation through viveka puraka pratyahara. What is that? The discriminative withdrawal that is informed by the tattva jnana, the truth, rather than mere suppression. So the paripantau, which is there in this verse, is the image of highway bandits or pirates waylaying a traveler for, is a powerful drishtanta or example. The sadhaka is the traveler whose destination is moksha. The road is dharma and karma yoga, and raga dvesha are the highway pirates who lie in ambush at every sense contact point. Every time when the senses come in contact with the sense object, we have to be alert. Uttishtata jagrata. These are ready to capture the sadhaka and bringing him to Vishaya Bhoga. He will get entangled in the enjoyment of the contact of the sense object, and thereby creating a karma bandha. Not because the destination has moved, but the raga dvesha has diverted him from the path. Shankaracharya reads Paripantau as an avesha, an arousing, designed to awaken the sataka's virya, the heroic energy, against the real adversaries. They are not external enemies that Arjuna fears to fight, but internal enemies of raga and dvesha. that are true obstacles to moksha. The tattvavid who knows the guna guneshu vartande does not attach, na sajjate. That is the jnana-based resolution for ragadvesha. Here the prescription of na vasham vajet, agachet, is directed to the karma adhikarin, who has not yet attained that tattva jnana. For him, practical discipline is to recognize ragadvesha as the impediments in the path and consciously refuse to follow the compulsion of the sense-object contact, which arouses the virya in him. This is a vyavaharika application of vairagya. The vairagya not out of knowledge, but a empirical or phenomenal vairagya, sustained through karma yoga sadhana, which progressively purifies the antakarana towards tattva jnana. And once the ragadvesha are dissolved, not by nigraha, but by the natural light of atma-jnana, rendering them permanently inoperative becomes easy. The bhashya of this, I will take it in the next class, because it's need to be discussed in detail. So I will do this bhashya in the next class. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamayaya Purnameva Vishishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Thank you. Dhanyawad.
Thank you very much, Mindoji. I've opened the chat and hand raising. If you have any follow-up questions or discussions, please come up or post your questions.
Namaskar. Regarding the Indriya Nigraha, we saw that in Ramayana also it is informed that when Sugriva, after he is helped by Prabhu Ramchandra ji, he starts enjoying the kingdom and he gets deviated.
Yes.
So, I understood today what you told. This inclination that comes like, okay, let me not fight a very big battle it is now, and let me give it up, and let me save my body first. These kind of feelings starts coming in, and people quit. Even I would have the tendency to quit the battle that is going on.
Right.
So how does one strongly be firm with the dharma and not deviate from it at all?
That is why Krishna is very clearly saying, no, yajnartha karma. Do all the karma as a yajna, and Ishwararpana. When we do that with a shraddha and devotion to Lord, and do the actions as an offering to the society or to the world or to the cosmic, so naturally, nature as a this requirement, not going against them, that will improve the what you call the chitta shuddhi or the impulses or control from our internal tendencies and all. As and when we reduce our internal tendencies and control of our vasanas, we will be more moving towards the path of knowledge, which is called the jnana nishta. And once that Jnana Nishta is taking place, we will be moving towards more and more toward the knowledge, where it will show that we are neither the doer nor the enjoyer. We are not the body, mind, intellect. We are the self, which is a witness or a sakshi in the beginning. And later you will realize that it is the Atma. It is not even the sakshi. So that state is the final Tattva Jnana. So this is a process in which we will have to move from one level to another level.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Namaste, Venkat.
Yeah, today's verses are really very practical, very real also. This sadrusham cheshtate, that means the one who knows, is still a gnanishta, not yet established.
No.
If he's already established, then then the future verses won't apply, no? The future verses of how to deal with them, because Chitta Shuddhi not happened, right, Niruji?
Right.
Samskara not happened. That means, you're not established in Jnana yet. It's still in this.
He is a sadhaka. That is what is being told here.
Okay, so it is not okay. So this is only this whole setup is the current verses you covered. Is still a sadhaka.
Yes. But Krishna is also indicating even a jnani is not beyond this, the operation of prakriti, in the sense, swabhava or the sense and sense objects contact in the body of the jnani also will continue to do that. That is why if he is given a painful pinch or an injection, even a jnani will scream. He will react to that, or heat or cold. His body will react. So where we have that Sugadukke Samikritva Labhalavya, then there is another place, Shitoshna Sugadukkeshu, which will come later. So all that Sukha, Dukkha, Shita, Ushna, these things are all natural expressions of the Prakriti. And that is the time, when does it take place? When the senses and the sense objects are interacting. Guna Guneshu Vartande. So once the knowledge is established that I am not the body, mind, intellect, but his andakarana will be not affected by that, or he will be internally peaceful. But the body will react according to the prakriti or the swabhava of the heat or cold or, pain or pleasure. It will behave like that.
No, this is perfect, Banuji. The Deha, I take it for Deha, because the Deha is Prarabdha and applied to the Deha, because Deha is in like a fan that is switched off. Continue to rotate till it becomes, it stops. That is a good example you took.
Yeah.
But Manas has gone through Chitta Shuddhi before Gnanam anyway. Then the Prarabdha doesn't apply to the mind and intellect, because they are already Shuddha. The samskara happened.
No, mind and intellect, how will they be Shuddha? Mind and intellect are all part of the Deha, no?
No, the mind which is functioning as a body functions, there is a lower mind, if that's the case, it is fine. But the Chitta Shuddhi we talk about as a prerequisite for Gnana will not carry the Prarabdha, the Chitta Shuddhi we talked about.
No, Chitta Shuddhi will carry the Prarabdha. Jnana will remove the Prarabdha is mine, because the Chitta Shuddhi, the Prarabdha is at the mind level, mind conscious intellect level, body mind intellect level. That is disowned, saying that disowned in the sense it is there in the body, but it is not me. I am the Atma. I am Atma Gudakesha Sarva Bhutadesha Sthita. Krishna will tell later in this Bhagavad Gita. I am
Okay,
the
then
Atma.
this is perfect. Let's take some example. That way it is clear.
Yes.
Suppose somebody is doing a duty of a class teacher to an army officer. It can be anything. Those rutti, we can call it as a rutti of functional world,
Yes.
continues. There's nothing affected. Nothing affected.
Right.
There's no doership.
Yes.
So whatever is left as the functional programs of the mind continue to be there
Yes.
as part of the whatever the mechanism
Prakriti.
configured for.
Yes.
Prakriti configured for.
Yes.
Otherwise you won't become a killer. Like if you are a thief and you are a liberated one, you can't continue to steal as a vrutti.
Who says? In fact, the example of Vyada in the Mahabharata story, he is a butcher.
No, but
at the same time, he is a jnani.
But he's not stealing. No, he's not crossing a dharma. No.
No, dharma, adharma, he is also killing animals for the selling the meat. That is his job, no? As a butcher.
So
what difference is killing an animal and stealing? Both are dharma or adharma. He is beyond dharma or adharma. Whether he is not doing a stealing for the purpose of stealing. He is not having the attitude that he is a person who is stealing. He is not even identifying himself with the body. But if the body is stealing and it is caught and it is beaten, then also he doesn't feel bad about it because it is that the body which is done the prarabdha karma. He doesn't identify himself to that one. If he is put inside the jail, he will remain in the jail without any complaint about it because he knows that is the body which is done the thing which is not as per the dharma, and so the punishment for the dharma is to put inside the jail. He will remain in the jail, but his inner poise is that he is not the body, mind, intellect.
So, in other way to say it, dharma adharma viveka is not a prerequisite for jnanam.
No. Jnanam is only jnanam. That is, there is no other requisite for jnana.
But can we put dharma adharma viveka as a prerequisite for chitta shuddhi then?
Yes, chitta shuddhi, yes.
If it is a case, then the thief won't remain the thief.
No, chitta shuddhi he will realize that all those things. But if his body if he is habituated to steal and eat, for example, he is a person who goes to a shop and without the knowing of the shopkeeper, he steals something and eats. That is his svabhava. Even if he has become a jnani, he may continue to do that for his eating.
He may not become a jnani, right, Binduji, because of chitta shuddhi not happened.
No, he is not. See, the thing is that chitta shuddhi has not happened is not that. The jnana can happen not just like that. His purva karma, samskara, can suddenly happen. How did it, a person like a thief become a vatmigi suddenly?
But he left that vrutti, right, after that.
He left the vritti after that because Narada educated him.
Exactly, the chitta shuddhi happened there.
Yeah, if there is nobody to educate him, Narada educated, he got the knowledge, and then Narada left without doing further, the help to him. He will do it himself with the chitta shuddhi part of it. He will have to do sadhana and all of those things, right?
Okay, I think we were very close on this. We covered this ground. I'll have Spring ask the question I have. I'll frame my further questions after Spring done.
Okay. Namaste, Spring.
Namaste, Binduji. Vinod.
Namaste. Vinod.
Yeah.
So from Pearl, you have become Spring.
Yes. Okay, so I just wanted to quote JK, So JK would basically say that in the moment of seeing the whole, in your own self as a whole, the change happens very spontaneously, is what he would say.
Yes.
Okay. So that see, one part is jnana, which is probably intellectual in nature, or you know something and all. But the totality of knowing suddenly changes you. In a moment, it can change you.
Right.
Normally we find these type of examples. For example, like people who are smoking, the moment the child turns away from the face, that is sufficient for them to leave the smoking. Or
Right.
some such incidents like that, right? So in many ways, this whole topic is very interesting. How does change come about ultimately?
See,
But,
jnana, jnana aspect, the chitta shuddhi, sattva shuddhi, and all those things are for people who has a level through which they have to progress. Now, there are people who are, not everybody goes through all this complete process. Some people will go through all the process yet not achieve jnana in this life or till the end of their life. But that doesn't make him not Atma. He is Atma even then. The thing is that we are all Brahman, Atma at all the time. The knowledge which is that we are holding, that we are the body, mind, intellect, it needs chitta shuddhi, sattva shuddhi and all those things are because we are not able to take our attention from our kartrutva, bhoktrutva of the attachment to the body, mind, intellect. The shift can happen instantaneously. It can be, a spark type of a thing. It doesn't need that, you need to keep on doing that wood to wood rubbing for the spark to come. That is a process through which you generate spark, but doesn't mean that the wood to wood rubbing has to take place by an effort of an individual. In a forest fire, what happens? Sometimes the wind itself will create that rubbing between the two trunks of the tree. And that is enough for a wildfire to start. So, in this case of a person who has done this, it should happen immediately. That is why we say that jnana sadrisha, says samagale eva jnana. The moment that knowledge you are told you are the Atma, that should happen to everyone. Because what is holding us from doing that is because we are having doubt, samshaya, or ajnana, or viparya. That is the time when the work has to be done, karma yoga, yaga, or chitta shuddhi, sattva shuddhi, and all this process has to happen. It is not that for everyone this is the method. One among the million, manisheshu sahasreshu, Krishna himself says that. He gets this, just the knowledge is not something which is happening due to something else. It is removing that misconception which we are having. That's all.
So, Binduji, that is a real jnana. So, basically, if you're not changing, that means, the jnana is not there. So, something else is missing.
Yes.
Or that is very clear. That's what I see.
Yes.
But somehow
That's
when
very clear.
Listening to you, the meaning that came was that the physicality of the body or the mind follows totally different rules. Don't wait for it or don't depend upon it. And something like that, yeah.
Absolutely. That is what Krishna is saying.
Right.
Guna guneshu vartante, when he said that the indriyas and the objects in the sense organs and the sense objects are operational at the body, mind, intellect level. Internal body, mind, internal sense organs and internal objects are there. External sense organs and sense objects are there external. Either internal or external. Whenever that is taking place, there is possibility for you to get attached or repelled by that. And these attachment and repellment are the ones which will take your attention away from your awareness, which is your true nature. That taking away the awareness from our true nature is something which by default it can happen. That is why he said nigraha karishadi. If you say that by you are closing your eyes, you are closing your ears and everything and sitting quiet as a meditation, only as long as you sit like that, you may be successful then. But that doesn't mean that the moment you open up your eyes and ears and everything, you will not be attracted towards the world outside. So the nigraha or the forced control of them is of no use. Knowing that is the nature of senses and sense objects is the way in which you can be alert and awake all the time and not fall for that. And when you are doing that, attention on the senses and sense organs getting into touched on contact, you are aware that it is in consciousness these are happening. That is why going back to the same mantra of Kena Upanishad, Pratibodha Vididam Matam, that is where it is happening. It is. So when that knowledge is there in you or the person, but he forget that it is the consciousness in which this is happening and gets attracted by the raga and dvesha of the contacts, that moment he will forget about that he is Atma. He will be the body, mind, intellect. Doesn't mean that he will continue to remain in it. He will realize his mistake. That I for a moment I slipped. And he will fall back on, he will be able to withdraw himself from getting further trapped into the raga dvesha. It is available all the time to all of us right now. We are the Atman. That knowledge is given to everyone, those who have heard this. But if it is not an experience or not your conviction, it is only because still a question mark is there in the mind.
Yeah, thanks, Binduji. Because people I think they invoke grace and they invoke, accept understanding that we are the awareness or we are that beingness. The mind uses a lot of other tricks to kind of, to give solace to itself, basically.
That's right.
Yeah. Thanks.
Thank you, Vinod. Venkat, any further questions?
We can close for today. I will continue.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yes,
Prakash. Thank you,
yes.
Venkat.
Yeah. Thank you, Venkatji, Vinodji, and for coming up and asking questions and discussions. Thank you, everyone in the audience, for coming and attending these sessions. It really helps maintain the forum. And again, special thanks to Binduji for the very meticulous breakdown of how we go from action to knowledge or wisdom. We will meet again tomorrow at 8:30 p.m. IST to continue with the 17th room. The replays, as mentioned earlier, are available in Clubhouse, or you can go to the link shared in the chat. And doing the manana and coming will really help in going deeper into the aspect of what Binduji is trying to address. Thank you, Binduji. Over to you to close the room.
Thank you, Prakash. Thank you, Venkat. And thank you, Vinod. And thank you all of you for being there today. We'll continue the Gita tomorrow, same time at 8:30 p.m. Until then, good night and Hari Om.
Hari Om.